It actually happened, and I'm as shocked as you are. YouTube actually reverted one of their bad changes they've made recently. This is more rare than winning the lottery. In November, YouTube made changes to their monetization policy, which overnight slapped a ton of channels and demonetized a large portion of their catalog, with no warning whatsoever that it was coming. Pretty much overnight, a ton of channels had their income drastically affected, which led to fear and outrage, naturally. They decided that it was time to really sterilize the content. No more of those naughty sailor sentence enhancers. Welcome to Weenie Hut Jr., bub. So they punished a lot of channels, and today they actually announced that they're reverting that change on the bad words. So they're no longer going to be treating all curse words equally. There's going to be tiers to them, because fucking obviously there should be. Not every curse word's the same. You can't argue that hell and damn are on the same level as a fuck. The original policy said that all bad words are going to be equal in the eyes of the algorithm, so it was a big problem that now they've recognized was a problem, so they've dialed it back. They're also being more flexible on the harshness of the language you can use in the content and still be monetized for. Not only that, they're finally showing us how the sausage is made and is no longer just making it vague statements. They are making it very clear what is and is not going to trigger different levels of monetization, what is and is not allowed for full monetization, what will result in limited monetization, and what exactly will result in no ads. They finally laid it all out plainly and clearly, so there's no guesswork anymore. Overall, this is a very surprising announcement because I can't even recall the last time YouTube reverted a policy change. The only one that even tickles my noodle is when Google Plus still existed and you had to sign up for Google Plus to comment on YouTube videos. But I feel like the only reason that got taken away is because Google Plus got taken away. That got buried like a fucking dinosaur. It went extinct. The service ceased to exist. Thus, it could no longer exist on YouTube as a commenting feature. And it's been like 10 years since then. God rest the soul of Google+. I know all 3 people that used it are probably still very distraught about it. May time heal those wounds. But I feel like I'd remember if they actually reverted that change before Google Plus's collapse. And I don't remember any announcement like that. I think they were stubbornly going to ride or die on Google Plus, and then Google Plus died. So not even that really fully qualifies, I don't think. I actually just can't think of another policy change they've ever walked back on. I really can't. This is truly a unicorn here. It's super refreshing, and I'm thankful that they're, going back on this change. So now you can, again, say your fucks. You can then say, whatever other colorful language you want to include without fear of your livelihood being threatened for it or anything like that. But I am admittedly confused that this is the first change that they're publicly eating shit on, saying that this was too far, too Insano style, it wasn't how we wanted it to be, and we've listened to the feedback, so we're going to revert those changes. I'm just surprised it's this one as opposed to dislikes. They removed dislikes a long time ago, and people still are very vocal about how awful of a decision that was, and people are still very much wanting dislikes to be re-enabled on the platform. And I feel like that's a pretty easy one for them to do, because dislikes still exist, it's just not publicly accessible on the platform without an extension. So they could easily flip that switch back on, and it'd be a slam dunk to showcase that they actually are listening to feedback now. I think this is a great first step, like, hey, don't get me wrong, I'm happy about this. Hey, we heard you, we're reverting this change, it wasn't a good change, but why not also extend that to something like dislikes? And also, they haven't made any mention on that violent content policy that they updated at the same time as the cursing policy, where a lot of channels were also hit by that if they were playing a video game that was a little too violent. So there is still room for improvement, but it is a good first step that I'm thankful for. So I just wanted to at least point out a couple of other things that I would like them to address as well. Of course, the biggest being bringing fucking dislikes back. Now, there's one more pretty important thing that I'd like to talk about. They actually put out a video going over everything and explaining it in greater detail with an actual face to the policy. This is their lead monetization guy, and I half expected this to just be like a fucking android or robot or something, but they actually have the real living, breathing human being that's behind these monetization changes and these monetization policies coming forward to explain it.
Last November aimed to improve the clarity and enforcement of our advertiser-friendly guidelines, and to make it easier for creators to monetize brand-safe content.
I don't really get how the November change was supposed to make it easier to monetize brand friendly content. It didn't seem to have any effect on what was already considered brand friendly, so that seems like kind of a nothing point. And I'm also not on board or subscribed to the belief that it was done with the intent of clarifying their policies on, cursing and all that, when it was just a full overhaul of what is and is not allowed in regards to monetization. So changing like the first 15 seconds, you can't say anything that's even somewhat naughty and shit like that, and treating all curse words equally. That's not really providing clarity, that's just completely changing what's already been established. So I'm a little confused on what the actual goal was, if the goal itself wasn't to make it a more strict environment, which it seems like, from what he's saying, that's not what they were intending.
Since then, we heard concerns from creators about the impact of this change. Upon reviewing our own enforcement data, we found the profanity policy resulted in a stricter approach than we intended. As a result, we are making the following changes to better reflect the goals of our initial update in November.
Again, that statement has me scratching my head like I've got fucking lice. I'm very confused. How could you not have foreseen that this profanity change makes it a more restrictive environment? If that wasn't the goal. Like, it seems like the goal was to change the profanity policy in order to make everything cleaner for people that, rely on AdSense for their livelihood on the platform, right? I don't understand exactly what the goal was if the goal wasn't to change that policy itself, because he seems to insinuate that the belief was it would make things easier. How? In what fantasy world would that have actually been the result from the policy change? It just makes everything a lot more tough and harsh to create in.
We are no longer treating all profanity equally. Usage of moderate profanity, words like bitch, douchebag, asshole, shit, at any time in the video content is now eligible for green icons. Under the November update, this would have received no ad revenue. Usage of stronger profanity, like the F word in the first 7 seconds or repeatedly throughout the majority of the video, can now run limited ads. Under the November update, this would have received no ad revenue.
When he really spells out the November update, you can truly hear just how fucking brutal it was. So it is fantastic that they're walking it back. That is great. And it's also lovely to hear this guy say things like bitch, asshole, and douchebag, and he even says fuck, too. He referred to it as the F word here, but he gets a little loosey-goosey with it in a little bit. He just straight up drops a fuck in there, which is pretty cool to hear.
Content using profanity, moderate, or stronger words like fuck after the first 7 seconds will now be eligible for green icons, unless used repetitively throughout the majority of the video. As was the case before the update in November, use of any profanity, be it something like shit or the F word, in titles and thumbnails will receive a yellow icon.
I really do appreciate his matter-of-fact way of presenting this. He just lays down the brass tacks and he does it in 4 minutes. It's pretty concise, it's bite-sized, so that way you get all of the information you need and you'll know exactly what will result in what monetization status. So I actually think it's a really great thing that they've done here. I don't know if they normally do this and I've just been missing it, but if this is new, I hope they continue it because it leaves no more room for vagueness or misinterpretation of policies. I think that's nice. I also think it's a good thing that they have the head honcho here of the department being the principal actor here in the content, so that way he can be the face of it the way that it should be, since he is the one that leads the policy monetization team. So, overall, I am very appreciative that they have reverted these changes. I'm not going to play the rest of the video where he goes more in depth on more of the profanity changes. You can check that out yourself so that way you have more clarity on it as well. But overall, a great change, and it seems like it's going back to the way it was before November. And actually, from the sound of what he was saying, it seems even better than it was pre-November. But maybe now I'm just not remembering exactly how the policies used to work. Regardless, though, it is a good thing. This is a rare YouTube W on this situation. I'm happy for it, but I think there's still more work to do. I do hope they continue this. I hope this is the start of more transparency, a willingness to listen to the community in regards to changes that they make. I'm hopeful that this won't be a one-off decision that they make, and we can start tackling some other problems, like the dislikes being hidden still. But anyway, I just wanted to keep everyone updated on this situation. That's about it. See ya. There's a renaissance happening on YouTube right now, and you can either get with the times or get out of here. Scram. The future's coming and you can't stop it, old man. And that future has a name, and its name is breastfeeding. YouTube is no stranger to people trying to weasel their way around the rules to find loopholes that allow them to post porn on the platform. And the most recent and very successful strategy here has been breastfeeding videos in order to promote an OnlyFans. So, there is a channel, RIP, this is kind of a funeral service for the channel as well, called Sierra Education. She had over 150,000 subscribers, and she was kind of going viral on Twitter when people became aware of this with all the views and subs she was getting, where she was making breastfeeding videos where she just had full-blown honkers out there. She had titties not censored at all, and she used a little fake baby to give breastfeeding tutorials that would link to her OnlyFans. Now, as of right now, as of making this video, her account has been banned. I can't access it anymore. However, I did get to access it a few nights ago on stream in order to do my own investigative research here, so I'm going to go ahead and show you that. Yeah, Sierra Education, new breastfeeding tutorial, 4K breastfeed tips. What's weird is, well, I mean, I think you know it's weird, but what's interesting is this isn't new. In fact, there was a time when YouTube, a long time ago, I made a video on this lady. She circumvented YouTube's like pornography stuff by filming breastfeeding videos with her actual child. And she ended up going to jail, still in jail, I'm pretty sure. She's using fake boobs, I'm pretty sure. Oh, not her. You're talking about Sierra? Hold on. I'll check on another screen here. I'll tell you if they're fake boobies or not. It doesn't look like she's using a real baby, so that's good. It seems to be a doll. And those definitely aren't fake honkers. Case closed. Myth busted. Now, I meant stunt titties, like a pair of, you know, complete make-believe hocus-pocus titties. There's no telling whether or not hers are big naturals or if they've had augmentations done to them, you know, like some Deus Ex titties or whatever. But I was saying she's using her actual breasts on her chest, not using, like, some kind of movie prop boobies. We actually had a lot of fake titties around the warehouse back when I had my Library of Alexandria sex toy collection, so I've seen my fair share of those, and I can confirm beyond a shadow of a doubt that's not what she was broadcasting on YouTube. Now, I can also confirm that she wasn't using a real baby, at least not in the video that I had up, so she probably won't be facing legal repercussions like the woman who came before her. Her name was Lee Felton. Lee Felton used to post breastfeeding videos onto YouTube, uncensored, just like this, and she used an actual child for it, an actual baby for it. And eventually, when authorities were alerted to this, they kind of ruled that that's extremely bad because it's basically bringing a child into porn. Like, she would do things like oiling up and all of that. It was fucking disgusting stuff. Unforgivable. So she is still in jail for that. Now, Sierra Education here, that's the name of the breastfeeding pioneer that everyone's been talking about recently, it was just her and a doll. So she probably won't get any kind of, like, legal trouble for it, but it's still so fucking degenerate and gross to be using breastfeeding as a means to promote your OnlyFans and, like, whatever other porn or whatever. That's so fucking abhorrent. What she did was clearly a violation of the YouTube rules, which is why she's banned. YouTube has always had rules where if it's educational or artistic, you can post content with nudity in it. This is something we talked about like a year ago with the guy who nared his butthole under the education clause, teaching people how to properly de-hair their brown balloon knot. And I believe that same channel has also done the same for, like, shaving your pubes and stuff. So this whole branch of content is nothing new, but the big difference here with Sierra Education and her breastfeeding versus, you know, the butthole hair vaporizing wizard is that that channel with the butt nair, like the eviscerate all the hair on your chocolate starfish, that never linked to, like, porn or OnlyFans or anything, whereas Sierra Education was directly linking to an OnlyFans. So I believe the reason she got banned isn't even because of the breastfeeding itself, because naked yoga is another old popular trend on YouTube where people would post completely naked yoga videos under the education and art clause and never really got super punished for it. I don't know if that's still around. Actually, I'm going to check real quick. I'll be right back. So if I come back looking all sweaty, you know that it's still around. It doesn't appear to still be around. But what is another huge trend right now with the transparent try-on hauls, where women have noticed that you can once again put nudity on YouTube through an educational context if you do like clothes reviews, so try-on hauls. And what they're doing is they're getting transparent clothing and just being naked underneath it. So, and some of them do like in the shower too, like how absorbent is this material? So they'll wear like a white shirt and then go into a shower and, you know, get it all wet so you can still just see full milkers and everything. So like there's always these different little tricks and cheats and all that in order to get pornographic content onto YouTube. And right now, the breastfeeding one from Sierra Education was probably the most successful and biggest example of that. But also, now that I mention it, I think transparent try-on hauls are probably just as big, if not bigger, because they continue to just grow. More and more people are doing that, and it's the same thing. It's basically just doing it to have nudity on the platform to try and make money that way. And every time I talk about this kind of stuff on stream, people always inevitably ask, why? Why the fuck would someone want to put this kind of content on YouTube? Just keep it on OnlyFans or keep it on, you know, whatever other sites you're using for that kind of content. And the answer is pretty simple. It's because YouTube is the biggest possible platform to get eyes on it. So if you're someone like Sierra Education, you can break out on YouTube through this breastfeeding guise, this ruse, and link people to your OnlyFans that would have never seen it before. It put so much attention on her, and she was constantly translating those peepers to her OnlyFans to try and monetize them and immediately try and capitalize off of that. It's just a bigger stage for it to promote to something else. It's the same reason why someone wants to do it on Twitch, because there's more people going on to Twitch than there are going on to Chatterbait or something. So if you can stand out on Twitch as someone that's doing some kind of sexual content and link to your like full-blown sexual content, you stand to get more eyes on it because the platform's bigger. That's just always been the way of things. You want to try and stand out on a bigger platform to increase your odds of being seen. Now, I'll briefly go back to Sierra Peach for a second because she is nothing if not tenacious. Her main account with over 150k subs did get banned, but she is already back on the grind posting on other YouTube accounts with the same content, and she's doing it on Instagram now as well. Instagram has recently become completely infested with porn now. I've been seeing a lot of discussion around this where if you go through like any pages really, you'll inevitably end up on something pornographic just fucking jump scaring you. Like going through Reels, apparently a lot of people are getting it. And it's people like Sierra Peach that are starting to recognize like, oh, even getting banned, it doesn't matter as long as a few new people see it. They might come and spend a few dollars on my OnlyFans or, you know, pay for a couple months on OnlyFans. So people are starting to catch on to that. So they're flooding places like YouTube and Instagram with it. It's not surprising by any means. As I mentioned, this is nothing new. But it's always so degenerate to do some shit like this. To promote porn through breastfeeding videos is just so weird. That is so fucking weird. Even though she's using a doll, it still doesn't take away from just how bizarre and gross that whole idea is to promote porn through breastfeeding tips. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, anyway, I wanted to talk about it a little bit. That's it. So yeah. I'm confident all of you know this, but YouTube actually allows some very interesting content under its education policy. So if they deem that the content is intended to serve an educational purpose, you're allowed to get away with almost anything. And heavens to Betsy, I tell ya, sports fans, it does include nudity. Many of you might remember a scandal from a few years back on how a lot of shady content creators were skirting this policy by posting porn, but calling it education. There used to just be porn scenes that were dropped on here under the defense of it being educational for like sex ed. That kind of got, you know, banished to the shadow realm, but that whole idea of education allowing nudity has been exploited for a long time. Another big one was naked yoga. I actually think this one's still around. It's just not as prevalent as it was a few years ago after their crackdown on it. But basically it was porn, but they'd throw in a couple of yoga poses in the beginning while being nude. But a lot of times the yoga wasn't actual poses, like it's not real yoga. They'd have shit like, behold, this one is the stuffed turkey, and then they start fingering themselves. Or this is a partner yoga pose, so get an assistant here, get into a downward dog position and have them blow a raspberry on your pussy. It'll help you unlock the seventh inner gate of taijutsu like Might Guy from Naruto. It's integral to aligning your chakras. It was basically just, again, exploiting this educational policy on YouTube in order to post porn. So, after this long-winded explanation of the YouTube educational policy and how it can allow nudity on the platform, it's time to talk about what's brought this up. A YouTuber is absolutely blowing up right now thanks to one video they made. A tutorial on how to nair your asshole. And he doesn't pull any punches here. There's no smoke and mirrors, there's no censorship here. It's just immediately the video blasts you with an anus jump scare. Within the first 4 seconds, he spreads his cheeks at the camera like he's preparing to show you a magic trick, and then bang, it's the whole chocolate factory on display. And again, there's no censorship or anything like that. And then nairs his ass. And it has over 10 million views in the last week. It's been going super viral with people being shocked and stunned that it's allowed on YouTube. Because I guess a lot of people weren't familiar with this educational policy loophole on nudity for YouTube. So a lot of people were just like taken aback by it and now joking around about it. And this success from the video kind of snowballed his entire channel. Now he has quite a few videos with well over 1 million and 2 million views. I tell you, the trickle-down economics from the asshole hair extermination content really did wonders for his whole brand here. And from what I can tell, this seems to be the only video he's made where there's nudity in it, but I didn't do the deepest dive on his content, so I don't know if that's 100% accurate or not, but this is by far his biggest one. It really is a wild situation when you stop and think about it. In the modern landscape of YouTube, people are afraid of naughty swear words, so they'll censor themselves, so that way they can stay monetized. Meanwhile, this guy said, fuck that, here's my ass. And here's how you nair it, if any of you need to nair your hairy ass as well. And he's like actually exploding because of it. But anyway, we went over it more on stream, and it led to a really deep and insightful conversation on swamp ass. So I'm just gonna put all those clips here now. There's a YouTuber named Kevin Leonard who used nair on his butthole on camera. People keep saying that. Is this like a really popular video or something? How to douche your butt. A detailed guide. How to safely shave your pubes. Butt plugs. How to finger your butt. Why you need to shart after he comes in your butt. And it just shows like full nudity? I mean, it's educational. I mean, yeah, it is educational, I suppose. Someone's got to teach you how to use nair on your chocolate starfish, I guess. The thumbnails can go crazy. It's just a picture of him smiling and it says, nair on butt. He literally goatsies his ass 3 seconds into the video. I mean, it's only a 3-minute video, so at the very least, he's not putting any filler content for the mid-rolls. He's right into the here's how you nair your butt. That's wild. Yeah, these videos are extremely popular. The nairing your butt has 8.7 million views in 9 days. He's a star. What's nair? It's that thing that like burns your hair off. It's supposed to be for like, if you want to get rid of your armpit hair, you nair it. That kind of thing. Shave your asshole for a video now? Nah. I shaved my ass a couple times. Like, not with nair or anything like that. I didn't chemically obliterate the hair on my ass. But I tried to do it to get rid of swamp ass because I thought it would help. Because it's always hot in Florida. So I used to get swamp ass pretty bad. It didn't help. It just made it a lot worse. It just made it like much damper. Because at least the hair worked as like some kind of like shag carpet to catch it. So it didn't just make my cheeks all slippery. But once that was gone, they were able to just You just fucking flood. So it didn't help with the swamp ass, long story short. So I don't bother doing it anymore. Did you ever cure it? Yeah, it actually just kind of went away when I got older. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, my ass just stopped being swampy as I aged. Maybe out of fear. Didn't want to be shaved again, so it stopped. Ass dried up. Yeah. Out of swamp juice. Which is a good thing. I'm happy that it's no longer a real issue. Childhood allergies? Brother, you think I was shaving my ass as a child? What the fuck? No, man, I was like in college. No, it wasn't childhood allergies that caused my swamp ass. No. It had nothing to do with anything. I love that idea, though, that you can have an allergic reaction to something and your ass just gets swampy. Like, oh my god, wait, is there peanuts in this? Oh god, no. You just fucking leaking out your pants. Fuck! I told you no peanuts, damn it! God, blast! You should see a doctor if your ass is leaking. Well, I mean, if your ass is leaking, maybe, yeah, but swamp ass is super normal. Just sweat. It's just sweat, and it gets swampy because it's a fucking brown balloon knot, so it's gonna be swampy. My asshole does not sweat. I don't know why you're coming in here and lying. You're not impressing anyone, big man. Everyone's ass sweats. Like, your whole body is literally designed to sweat. Just different levels of it. Maybe you live a pretty sedentary life and you haven't noticed it. This was very brave of you. My ass sweats a lot sometimes. I'll leave spots on a fabric seat. You're among friends here, pal. Don't worry. This is a no judgment zone. Okay, we've been getting into scientific topics for the last hour. Fucking microplastics, phytoestrogen from soy, now swamp ass. Yeah, we've covered pretty much all of the main anatomy and physiology 101 course topics, honestly. We got the whole goddamn rubric knocked out. These are some fucking stupid ass terms, brother. Mud butt. This is fucking dumb now. You're not even being scientific anymore. Yesterday, a very popular YouTuber named Corey Kinshin posted an absolute bombshell of a video accusing YouTube of some awful things and explained the whole situation that led to the claims, and he does not hold back. The gloves were off and the chef's hat was on because he just started cooking their ass. Now, of course, it's not unusual for a YouTuber to make a video criticizing the platform. It happens every day because YouTube is a company that very, very rarely gets anything right, so it's constantly catching more shit than a Walmart toilet, and rightfully so. But even with hourly uploads of everything wrong with YouTube, the problems that Corey Kinshin highlights are some that I haven't ever really even seen discussed before. The video's titled YouTube Racism and Favoritism, and it was actually the #1 trending video all day yesterday, and right now it's the #2, which means this is the front page of YouTube. This is the #1 video on YouTube, so I bet they're thrilled about that. Corey Kinshin has over 14 million subscribers, so this is a video that carries a lot of weight.
You guys either play favorites, you are racist, or it's a mix of the two. These are the three options, YouTube.
It's a pretty aggressive intro, but he is rightfully upset about unfair treatment he's been experiencing. So, after going through what he's gone through, he believes that there's only really 3 possible conclusions to draw from it, where it's either YouTube policy team playing favorites, members of the policy team being racist, or some combination of the two. Now, before getting into the specifics of the situation, I'd like to say I think most people have been aware of favoritism on YouTube for quite a while. You know, it's not exactly like the Krabby Patty secret formula. It's not hush hush. I think everyone has recognized that there is some level of favoritism on the platform. I mean, there's even that viral video from a few years ago where the CEO of YouTube said to Juice WRLD that they need to pump his numbers up, which indicates artificial growth. It means that they have at least some capability of boosting channels, whether that's through the algorithm and pushing it to more people, or just inflating it themselves. for channels they deem worthwhile and good for business, and the inverse is likely true where they can hide channels they think are problematic and bad for business. So favoritism is something that people have been loosely aware of for a long time, and also when it comes to, mainstream media sources, like late night show hosts have much more leeway than an average YouTuber. They can say and do a lot of things that get normal YouTubers demonetized or age restricted or straight up striked. And that doesn't apply to the big boys in the scene. So favoritism is something I think most people know exists on YouTube. That's not like a conspiracy theory. However, the claims that Corey is about to make against the YouTube policy team in regards to racism are pretty interesting.
August 18th, I uploaded The Mortuary Assistant. A lot of you would know it got age restricted. I saw that all these other YouTubers were playing The Mortuary Assistant and only my video seemed to be age restricted. So I appealed the restriction. Hey guys, I'm not sure why mine got age restricted. Could you look into this? Appeal rejected.
This isn't the whole situation, it's just the beginning. I already want to talk about something in particular though, the appeal system. Corey mentions that after appealing, he was denied, rejected pretty quickly. That's the norm. I can count on one hand the amount of times I've ever even heard about an appeal being overturned. That just never happens. The only time an appeal doesn't lead to rejection is when you make a trending hashtag about it on Twitter. You make a big hoopla on Twitter, and then YouTube will go to your appeal and, make it in your favor. But if you don't do that, if you don't stir up a shitstorm and start throwing sand in YouTube's face on Twitter, they won't bother. I'm very confident that there is no human being in the review process for appeals. In fact, I would wager my anal virginity that there is no human being that looks at appeals. And if I'm wrong, then I fully invite the YouTube policy head to come raw dog me. I am so fucking confident that there is no human being that looks at those appeals because they always, almost always, end in rejection and standing with the initial decision even when it's blatantly wrong. The algorithm makes mistakes. But the appeal is supposed to bring a human being into the equation to look at it, investigate the case, and decide whether or not it was an algorithmic error or a correct enforcement. And there are times where it was just outright incorrect, just outright wrong, and they will still stand with that decision. So I just don't think the appeal system works. That needs a drastic overhaul ASAP.
Only my video got age restricted. My YouTube rep, who isn't on the policy team, he looked at my video and he said, hey, it could possibly be this part at the end about it. So I looked at that part. The first thing I did was try to find other YouTubers who had that part, or at least a part similar. So I go to Markiplier's Mortuary Assistant Part 3, and he had the same situation going on, and his video wasn't age restricted.
Corey explains that after the appeal was rejected, he talked to his YouTube rep who speculated as to why they decided to enforce the age restriction, and he highlighted a potential problem with the ending of the game that was in his video. So Corey then went to other videos to try and find that exact same part, and he found it in one of Markiplier's videos, which wasn't age restricted, yet had the exact same content that Corey's did. So he was left confused. Why is Markiplier's video okay, but his isn't? Now I want to immediately squash the argument I know a few people will make that Corey Kenshin might not be as advertiser friendly as Markiplier, which is why Markiplier is being favored by YouTube here. That just doesn't work because Markiplier still says bad words. He'll say fuck and shit and damn, he'll squeeze in some naughty words. Corey Kenshin is squeaky clean. He doesn't say any naughty words. He even censors bad words in the games that he plays in the videos. He is the more advertiser-friendly creator. So it's not just YouTube playing favorites for whoever's more advertiser and brand friendly. It's not the case because if it was, Corey would be the winner there. So it definitely has to be something else at play for why they demonetized Corey and not Mark. Now, if you've been around my channel for a while, you might remember I went through an almost identical situation a couple years ago. I made a video on a fake road rage incident and got an entire strike for it from YouTube, a policy guidelines strike from YouTube for it. And I found that exact same clip that I was talking about in one of Markiplier's videos that wasn't age restricted, demonetized, or anything. I was so angry, I was wiggling in rage. I was so upset, I couldn't sit still in my chair, so I made this video talking about it, and then I made a big stink on Twitter. And Markiplier actually came to my rescue, like a fucking hero of justice, a symbol, like Batman. He came in and said, fair is fair, where is my strike, YouTube? And YouTube responded, not by getting rid of my strike, but by striking Markiplier's video as well. So now both of us ended up with a strike, and Markiplier made a video talking about that, and eventually YouTube decided to rescind both strikes, saying that it was an overreaction to things and it was a mistake on their part. But obviously you can see the problem here. They're not enforcing their rules equally across the platform, and they're just not enforcing them properly at all. There was no reason that video should have ever resulted in a strike by any stretch of imagination. I can understand the algorithm having a bit of a oopsie, a little boo-boo there, and mistaking a fake comical road rage for a real incident, but the appeal process is supposed to come in there where a human being looks at it and within 3 seconds should be like, oh, this is clearly a joke. But that never happened because I don't believe humans actually review the content. I'm getting sidetracked. Point is, the rules aren't enforced appropriately or equally. So a kind of similar situation, but not exactly the same as what Corey's been going through with YouTube here. However, I do find it interesting that Markiplier is present in both of these cases. I feel so bad for Markiplier. He's done nothing wrong. He just keeps getting dragged into these disputes here with YouTube.
So I send the video to my YouTube rep. I say, hey, Markiplier has this situation in his video, but his isn't age restricted. Could you send that to the policy team and see what they say about that? They came back and they removed my age restriction. They took it off after they already rejected my appeal. I expected them to triple down and give Markiplier an age restriction too. But they looked at Mark's video and they used that to verify my innocence.
After being confronted with evidence, the policy team folds and gets rid of the age restriction on Corey's video, but he decides to press forward by trying to get an explanation for why it was okay for Markiplier and not okay for him. Why isn't it the same ruling, and why is it only now, after being confronted, that they decide to get rid of the age restriction after already denying his appeal?
So I send my YouTube rep a lengthy email detailing my feelings about the entire situation. So my YouTube rep assures me he's going to continue this dialogue with the policy team. So another day, another 2 days go by, and what do you know? They re-age restricted the video. They re-age restricted the video. I say, no way did they do that. I go to Markiplier's video now, and now his video is age restricted.
Yeah, it's pure pandemonium and chaos at the YouTube policy headquarters now. They re-age restricted Corey's video and then slapped Markiplier with an age restriction as well. So they panicked, clearly. After being confronted and after Corey's email as well as the phone call he had with the YouTube rep, they obviously caught wind of what was happening. Corey Kenshin was wondering why he was being unfairly treated by the YouTube policy team. No one else got age restrictions, it was just him. So he pressed further, pressed harder, and the policy team reacted by bringing back the age restriction to him and Markiplier. So it's like, hey, no, look, everything's good now. Now everything's even, right? We enforce this equally across the creators, so we're good here, right? No, obviously. Corey is rightfully upset. He was treated unfairly. And since YouTube is so unbelievably shit at giving clear answers to anything, Corey can only speculate as to what happened here. And he draws the potential conclusion that maybe someone or some members of the YouTube policy team are racist. Maybe they targeted Corey because of the color of his skin. And it's not a far-fetched thing to think either. In fact, Ludwig, when he interviewed Susan, and Ludwig also made a mogul mail talking about this exact video I'm talking about and brought up some great points, the strongest one being is there are human beings on that policy team, and there are sometimes biases with members of those teams. You know, they're human beings, and some of them are going to have biases. And there is the potential that someone there is sexist or racist. And Ludwig brings up good points about that. For example, his girlfriend's podcast gets demonetized way more than his does. And so he brings that up. Susan, the CEO, denies that it's a possibility, but it is a real possibility. And Corey is absolutely right in thinking that it could be a real possibility that someone on that policy team that has the decision-making power might be racist. Why was Corey the only one getting age restricted? And Corey also brings up another great point, which is every time Corey comes back, Corey takes hiatuses in between his content creation. Sometimes he'll be gone for like 4 or 5 months. And he'll come back and explode. He'll get #1 trending like every single day for 3 weeks straight. And then every time, like clockwork, he's hit with some kind of YouTube controversy. Last time it was getting a strike due to something from like a 4-year-old video, a 3-year-old video or something like that out of nowhere. And it's only when Corey comes back and starts getting popular again do they do something like this with age restriction or a strike or something like that. But in the breaks he takes, like the 5 months, the 9 months that he's not on YouTube, he never has problems. They don't strike anything. They don't, age restrict anything. It's only when he's back being popular that this kind of issue arises. And it's always over nothing. Like I said, Corey is probably one of the most advertiser brand-friendly content creators there is in the gaming space. He doesn't say bad words or anything bad. He even censors that kind of shit in the content of his video, like from the games he plays. So he goes the extra mile to be as brand friendly and advertiser friendly and family friendly as you can be. So it can't be an issue of him just being, too hardcore for YouTube to support. That's just not the case. It has to be something else. Something maybe going wrong with the algorithm or potentially actual racism at the YouTube policy team. It's not impossible. Of course, there's no concrete evidence that there's any racists on the policy team, but since YouTube can't communicate these decisions, all you can do is guess as to the reason why things happen. Why was Corey the only one getting age restricted? We don't know. His YouTube representative doesn't fully know. The only ones that do are the policy team, and they don't communicate. So all you can do is take your best guess. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this situation, and that's about it. So yeah. Today I found myself looking for some really shitty old public service announcement like Eddie the Eagle type shit, like the gun safety, stop, don't touch, hit that whip, hit the nay-nay and run away from the gun, that old jam from the 90s. I was looking for shitty public service announcements to dub over, but I couldn't really find anything too spectacular or new. But I guess me searching for this shit must have triggered some type of doomsday protocol in the YouTube recommendation algorithm, because it sent me some weird shit. And then I found what I've always been looking for, and I thought, since I'd already been cursed by the video, I might as well share it with all of you, so please enjoy. YouTube comments have become synonymous with degeneracy. YouTube comments are like piles of dog shit you encounter on the sidewalk during like a Sunday afternoon stroll, but it's not like random piles of dog shit like accidental. This is like deliberate dog shit placed on the sidewalk just for you to feel worse about, like someone doing fucking snow angels in the dog shit or hand painting it on the sidewalk just to make your walk a little worse. That's what YouTube comments have become, and it's never really been a problem because every big platform has that issue. It's a people problem. Twitter has it like a motherfucker. Reddit, Facebook, all of the big social platforms have the same exact issue. But now there's one guy who made a video about pedophiles commenting on videos of children on YouTube, and he had everyone go to the advertisers to report it to them, so that way all the advertisers would pull out, which has happened. Adpocalypse 2 is upon us. So that's going on at the moment. And now YouTube's solution to get the advertisers back on to make them feel safe is they're starting to disable comments on a channel-wide basis. The first channel this happened to that I've seen is Will. He can no longer post any or have videos with any comments enabled on them. It's out of his control. YouTube has disabled it for him. The picture he posted on Twitter makes it very clear that this seems to be the direction they're going. And I don't blame YouTube at all. YouTube has genuinely no options here. There's nothing they can fucking do except remove comments on a platform-wide basis. You can't have like a department of super sleuths going through every single comment on every single video on the platform, line by line. Oh, what the fuck is this? That stanza 3 is a little inappropriate. Blast that shit out of here. Advertisers won't like that one. It's impossible. It's too much. So logically, the only thing they can do is just get rid of comments, which it looks like they're doing. And it's not like they can have like a system or an algorithm in place to like monitor and police every single comment, because that just can't fucking be done. Skynet 2,000 years from now probably couldn't come up with a system as complex as that to detect what are bad and creepy comments and immediately get rid of them. It just can't be done. And YouTube can't even make a simple functioning copyright system. It's just so fucking primitive when it comes to these algorithms that there's no feasible way they could come up with something to automatically get rid of creeps on the platform. Can't be done. Their fucking copyright system is so goddamn archaic. If I hum the Halo theme song right now, I could get claimed by Katy Perry for stepping on her copyright toes. It's super, super shitty. So there's no way they could do that, and you obviously can't hire a team to do that because it's too much work for real people. So the comments have to go. Which is super fucked up, but there's really no other option for them. I don't defend YouTube, you guys know that. I'm the first to drop trousers and take a steamy fat fart right on the face of YouTube's decisions they've been making over the years, because they're just bad decisions and bad ideas they've been implementing. But in this case, it's out of their hands. There was no other choice. There's literally nothing else they could do in this situation except just get rid of comments, because advertisers pulling out for this doesn't stop people from commenting horrible shit on videos. Those two aren't related at all. A bad person isn't going to just stop posting some creepy shit on a video just because Disney isn't advertising on the platform anymore. They're not going to be like, oh man, well, Disney's not on YouTube anymore. I guess I really shouldn't comment this. That's not going to stop them. All that hurts is everyone that uses the platform normally. So the only thing YouTube can do to make sure that people can still use the platform to have a living off of is get rid of comments. That way advertisers feel safer that there's not some creepy guy being openly creepy in the comment section. So I don't blame YouTube. And I'm really surprised that it's YouTube even taking the fall here first, because Twitter has a massive fucking problem in this department. I've seen trending hashtags for pedophile communities being super open about being pedophiles. Fucking hashtag pedophile appreciation day, hashtag high five a pedophile, creepy shit like that. And it's not an issue on Twitter apparently, despite it being super on display a lot. Some absolutely disgusting, deplorable shit on Twitter, so I'm sure their shitstorm's right around the corner. But in YouTube's case, it wasn't just the creepy comments. They also had a really fucked up algorithm that just kept recommending more and more creepy shit, like some over-eager salesman at a flea market trying to get your attention just with more and more creepy shit. So hopefully they fix that. But in terms of the comment section, I don't like that they're getting rid of it, but they just didn't have a choice, as I've said a couple times now. I just feel like a lot of people are blaming YouTube now for this step when I really just don't think it's their fault. Think about it this way. Let's say there was a huge movement to boycott Gillette razors, a hashtag wake up Gillette, because it turns out a pedophile used their razors one time. Well, now no one wants to touch Gillette, no one wants to work with Gillette because now their razor had a pedophile use it. So no one's going to fucking use it. They're being boycotted. How the fuck do they ensure that no pedophiles use their razor? You can't just have like a box that you check before purchasing a Gillette razor that says, oh, I'm not a pedophile. That wouldn't work. So what do? The only way you can ensure that no bad people use your product is to just take it off the shelves. So Gillette would have to remove all their razors to make sure no pedophiles ever use the razor. That's what YouTube's doing with the comment section, to make sure no bad people use the comment section. It's really just not their fucking fault, and it sucks. It's just impossible to police every single comment and every single user on the site. Even if you flagged every single account, they could just make another one and keep posting creepy shit. I wanted to just make this to let you all know why the comments will likely be disabled on my videos, because it's out of my hands. It seems like this is the route they're going, and I'm sure my account will be hit by it as well. It wasn't me that turned off comments. I wanted to keep reading your screeching comments about my hair being too long and how it needs to be cut. I also really wanted to keep diving deeper into, haha, this guy's embarrassingly short at 5'6". Those were some quality fucking top-notch comments, and I wanted to keep reading that top-shelf comedy. It wasn't me that turned it off, is the point I'm making. And sarcasm aside, I think the comment section on any platform is extremely valuable. I think it's a very important component to have in anything, to have feedback, to be able to read what other people are saying about it. And even more importantly, it puts Justin Y out of a job. That man has spent 24 hours a day over the last fucking 2 years commenting on every single video on the site. It's incredible. And now that man's, the fuck is he gonna do? Justin, I'm sorry, man. I hope this doesn't go through. I wish you Godspeed. But again, not me that's going to be turning off the comments if it happens to me, and I'm sure it will. Just wanted to let you all know. And that's rest in peace, YouTube comment section. You had a good run. Take it easy, everyone. See ya. Yesterday, September 20th, 2019, was a historic day on the internet. A day where the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Yesterday, we celebrated our Internet Independence Day. It's actually the president's speech from Independence Day. I memorized that shit because I fucking love that movie. Obviously, it's a little different here. We're not fighting aliens. We're fighting robots at YouTube. Either way, the statement stands. Yesterday was massive. I made the video talking about YouTube and the whole verification scheme they were running. Little Ponzi scheme they tried to slip into our drinks trying to roofie us with that garbage. And then only an hour after I posted that video, Susan goes on Twitter and makes 2 updates saying they are reversing the changes. Now, am I saying that my video is the reason Susan changed her mind? That's exactly what I'm saying. But this is huge for the internet because everyone banded together and actually made a change on YouTube, which has never happened. In the 13 years I've been on YouTube, not once, not a single time have I seen them reverse an update or a change they've made. And I mean that in no exaggeratory manner. I have never, ever, ever seen them reverse even the most counterproductive and just batshit insane fucking lunatic ideas that they pass on this site. I've never seen them backpedal on one until yesterday. We just chipped the Titan's armor on this one. It's unreal. That, gamers, sometimes we don't always get victory royales, you know what I mean? Not every time gamers go out there, we win. Sometimes we get rejected to prom. Sometimes we get rejected to prom 3 times in a row. You never know. Gamers sometimes lose, but in this case, the gamers just fucking swept it. We just got a big dubski. The only time I've seen gamers even come close to winning something this big is when they visit my streams at twitch.tv/moistcritical. Stream daily, baby. Fuck yeah. Why this is a huge deal isn't just that they're reversing an absolutely stupid change that they were trying to push through. It sets the precedent that maybe when we do offer advice and complain about some garbage shit that they throw out there, they might actually start to listen now. This shows that Susan is receptive to feedback. In the very least, she sees it. That's massive. That's absolutely massive because for the last 13 years, it's basically just been coming into the ocean. You're never going to find it. No one gives a shit about it. It's not going to make any difference. No one cared until Susan makes it clear yesterday that they're about to start, at least hopefully. I'm still just blown away by this shit right now. I think I'm in a wet dream still. For 13 years, YouTube could literally drone strike an orphanage in Nebraska, reducing the whole facility to ash, rubble, and corpses, and they wouldn't apologize for it. They wouldn't do anything to, improve their brand image or anything. They just waited out and hoped people just didn't give a shit after a certain period of time, and it always worked for them. But now, on this, for some reason, they actually decided to be human about it. We're sorry, and we're going to listen and revert these awful changes. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. YouTube has always been one of the most unapologetic, unhuman companies on the internet. It's fucking Skynet pre-alpha, basically. Just purely machine run, only numbers crunching and shit like that. But now, somehow, we've finally gotten them to listen and do something about the feedback that they're given. It's amazing. I'm still semi-chubbed from all of this, and it's been almost 12 hours now. It's just, I'm just so excited because maybe now, they will listen to shit. That's obviously wishful thinking, probably won't happen, and they're still going to roll out horrible updates. But maybe when they're horrible and people talk about them, Susan will go on Twitter once again and, flash her tits to the world. Listen, I'm here for you. I'm changing this shit. Maybe Susan's the goddamn hero that Gotham really needs right now. I'm excited for what's going to come from YouTube now. For the first time in a long time, I'm very optimistic with where YouTube is heading. Just from this one simple gesture. Look how simple this was. Susan makes 2 tweets and now all of a sudden I'm on her side. And everyone seems to be on her side. Because that's all they needed to do for 13 fucking years to not be labeled a shady, shitty, slimy company with less integrity than a meth dealer. All it took was this one simple gesture to just turn all of that around, and it's such a nice breath of fresh air. Swallowing wet farts from YouTube for so long and finally getting what seems to be like a little bit of humanization from the company is fucking fantastic. And that's all I wanted to talk about. And great job, everybody on the internet, for all banding together to fight for what you believed was the right course of action for a platform that has never once looked at you as anything more than a number in the laboratory at the YouTube HQ. But maybe that will all change now with Susan at the helm. Maybe our voices can be heard and they'll stop pushing out horribly shitty updates. Yeah, I mean, if they just stop making horribly shitty updates, we wouldn't even need to be worrying about complaining and getting listened to. Just make better decisions, I guess, would be the ultimate solution to this garbage. But anyway, thank you, Susan. Appreciate it. And thank you, everyone out there. That's about it. See ya. When you think of demons, you probably think of the mainstream normie names like Beelzebub, Asmodeus, Lucifer. What if I told you there's another demon out there, a very real one that not too many people know the name of, but probably should? Smash Bandicoot. When Dante made the venture into the deepest pits of hell, there was one circle he too feared to speak on. The Smash Bandicoot cringe lair. If you look up his name on YouTube, you can't even find his channel anymore because it's buried underneath all of these videos that document his years of awful behavior and downright insanity. After taking the plunge into the deep dark rabbit hole of Smash Bandicoot, I'm pretty sure this is the same guy from 2012 that was arrested for eating a man's face off in Miami. This guy is what I imagine a real jet addict from the Fallout universe would look like if given flesh in our corporeal realm. Now, I'm not going to focus on all of the allegations from the past about him. I'm going to focus on what he is currently doing, openly admitting to, and just got absolutely slapped for by YouTube. This is less of a video about Smash Bandicoot and more of a video about a huge YouTube W. So, Smash Bandicoot recently concocted a nefarious scheme to falsely copyright strike channels that he didn't like. So, he targeted a YouTuber named Cartoonshi. He flooded the channel with 3 copyright strikes, which then put it on the 7-day doomsday clock for Judgment Day. If you don't know how the strike system works on YouTube, if you get 3 strikes, you lose your channel in a week unless you prove that they're a bunch of malarkey, the claims aren't real. So Cartoonshi was facing channel termination. He also wasn't the only one that Smash Bandicoot was doing this to, and he didn't have any real grounds for striking. They were fraudulent, and he celebrated the fact they were fraudulent openly, blatantly. So apparently this guy named Smash Bandicoot is copyright striking someone that he doesn't like. And their account is in a bad spot right now because of it. He's attempting to dox him and get his channel banned. Okay. So Smash Bandicoot is a YouTuber? Smash Bandicoot has harassed not only Cartoonshi, but also myself and various other creators. This person is removing content that includes nothing he made in what is clear bad faith, and then tagging YouTube. Just spamming fucking die. Man, this guy he is on the crack pipe. Yeah, this man's got a whole Lord of the Rings movie covering Smash Bandicoot. And I am tempted to take the plunge. This is apparently Smash gloating on one of his many accounts that he likes to make where he's celebrating this and acting as if he's some kind of omniscient god figure who's, controlling the hands of fate, the puppet master. I will not deliver the 3rd strike, which he eventually did. This is a mere lesson. If he wants to continue making content, he can, but I will not revoke. In exchange for letting both of you get set free, however, you must tell me who are the content creators both of you have friended on Discord, delete the recording, and guide me, then I shall set you both free. For once, don't be a pathetic, arrogant, and not gonna continue forward there. He was trying to use these strikes as a way at getting back at people he didn't like. Now, the bad blood between all of these people in Smash goes way back over nothing. This is a mentally unwell individual that needs professional help, for sure. Like I said, I'm not getting into all of the allegations over the years they've been a nuisance, but it is some weird, not good shit. So this has reached the boiling point. He's harbored this grudge for 4 years and then came up with these strikes. He's claiming certain things about these videos that he has absolutely no right to, and as you saw, he openly just celebrates that they're not legitimate, but he's able to abuse the system, which has been a problem on YouTube for a long time. So, obviously, Cartoonshi and the other YouTubers that have been falling victim to this were panicking about it, thinking they were going to, lose their channel or just be in like a terrible standing on the platform. But YouTube, in recent years, I don't know how many people know this, has really started singing a different tune when it comes to this type of exploitation. They've been pretty solid about addressing it and fixing it. It might not always be as fast as it should, but the fact that they're at least doing that is such a significant improvement. I've mentioned this case a couple times over the last few years, but in 2019, they absolutely teed off of a fucking douchebag's face for this type of copyright strike abusing. There was a false flagger who repeatedly false flagged Minecrafters and then tried to like hold them ransom, like I'll release the strike only if you pay me via PayPal. YouTube actually took him to court and slapped him with $25K right to the goddamn noggin. They took him over his knee, spanked his cheeks red with discipline, and kind of put the kibosh on that with an exclamation point, really. And in recent times, they have been stepping in and fixing problems like this. And I'm happy to say they did just that. So Cartoonshi made a post today talking about how the strikes are disappearing, which is great. They say, my strikes are being removed. I've got one more left that should be sorted out shortly. I want to thank everyone who reached out to help and managed to spread the word. The support from the past 2 days has been insane. I'm tired and need sleep. And I'm sure he slept with a nice wet dream knowing that he foiled the great Smash Bandicoot's plot. And he would have got away with it if not for those meddling kids. Now, if you're at all familiar with Smash Bandicoot, then may God have mercy on your soul. You'll know one of the things that they like to do is he likes to make a ton of different accounts for many types of sorted purposes. In fact, when I briefly covered this topic on stream 2 days ago, within 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes, he somehow went into my chat on multiple different accounts to spam gobbledygook, just actual gibberish that he was caps locking and screaming to the heavens. How he even knew I was talking about him is beyond me, because it had been less than 10 minutes since his name left my mouth. That is how online he is all of the time. He's like the fucking NSA. It's crazy. And he has tons of accounts that he uses these things for. So the question naturally becomes, what stops him from just doing this again and striking more channels? Well, that's another thing YouTube's also been pretty good about in recent years. There have been no shortage of weirdos like Smash Bandicoot that try this. And usually when they fail, that's the end of the discussion because YouTube actually swats these flies pretty effectively. So once they deem that all of this is a bunch of baloney, they make some kind of note in their system or something because obviously they have this guy's information. And clearly they've set the precedent of they're not afraid to go to court over these things and punish people legally, financially for it. So I'm guessing what happens is YouTube is somehow able to, I don't know, like blacklist them internally so that way they can't be submitting strike claims anymore. At least that's my little game theory on it. But usually you don't see them do this anymore. And I have to imagine that's something on YouTube's side for this kind of abuse. Which is, of course, a very good thing because pieces of shit like this should not be allowed to continue to do that. So, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because it is one of those situations where it has a happy ending. And I'm happy to see YouTube going in this direction where they seem to really be taking these kind of matters more seriously. And I can only hope that that continues and maybe at some point down the line there'll be a more effective system in place with blocks and checks that won't allow fraudulent strikes to go through in the first place, because it is scary to have to drum up a lot of like hoopla online through Twitter noise and getting people to be aware of the situation before YouTube is. It'd be better if YouTube knew right away or had creators had a way of contacting YouTube like, hey, look, here's the proof that all these claims are fraudulent. Can we do something about this? Like if there was some kind of system in place for that, it'd be better than the current one, which is, again, making it go viral on Twitter, which is exactly what this Smash Bandicoot saga did do, which is how they became aware of it, I imagine, through all of that. Again, it's a happy ending, but I do still hope they continue to go in this, upward trajectory, this forward direction, the right path, and continue to improve upon it, so that way it can be even more effective down the line. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. It's good to see that the strikes are being removed from his channel, as well as the other victims of the goddamn diabolical Smash Bandicoot here, and hopefully that'll be the end of that story and he won't be trying anything else like that in the future. That's really about it. So yeah.